What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, many of you know that when the markets get shaky, I tend to kind of diverge away from microcap cryptos and focus on the bigger Bitcoins and Ethereums because I think that's the best bet for your money. But when the market starts to look a little bit better and things are starting to stabilize, I do like to focus my attention back towards every now and then some of these microcap cryptos that I think have a lot of potential, and that's actually what we're going to be doing today. Now, if you've been on the channel for the last maybe 9 months, 10 months or so roughly, you will have heard about today's crypto, which is of course Kodi Coin. This is one I've talked about 3 or 4 times on the channel now. They're still producing some absolutely amazing products that have clearly provided results. And so for that reason, I wanted to talk about them today, talk about the reason why I personally will be investing more into them, why I am very interested in going, seeing where the future does go with them. For full disclosure, I have invested into them many months ago, and I still do have that position. But with that being said, of course, I wanted to take a look at why I still think that there is a lot of potential here. Okay. So one of the biggest things that stood out to me, one thing that was really exciting in my opinion about what we're seeing from Kodi Coin was the fact that it reacted to the market. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Well, realistically, whenever we see a lot of these different newer cryptos, these smaller cryptos, what happens quite often is that they just start getting a little bit disconnected from the market. They will just move how they want to move. And what you can see is that from the last month, yeah, they've been having a pretty parallel result from the rest of the market. The market's falling, so is Kodi. But what we've been seeing over the last 7 days is that as the market has recovered, we've seen growth of 20 to 30% in Kodi just in the last about 4 or 5 days or so. And I think that a big part of that is because of the increase in use case in which they are seeing right now. So just a quick reminder of what exactly Kodi is and why I do like them so much. Of course, their focus is on a few different things, but it's a pretty strong ecosystem revolving around similar aspects. Let's kind of talk about what I mean by that. So the whole idea behind Kodi is to provide an experience for other crypto companies. This is my take on it, okay? The whole idea behind Kodi, again, is to provide an experience for crypto companies to develop certain aspects of their business and in return reward Kodi holders. Now, for example, they have something like the Pitch Agency. So this is a marketing agency that all revenue from this agency goes directly back into Kodi. They also have a launchpad coming soon. All of the revenue from that launchpad will then be distributed back into Kodi in different ways of filling the marketing wallet and being airdropped to holders. And as they continue to build these different use cases that provide a more efficient way for companies and crypto projects to launch and start to get out there, they will be directly benefiting the holders because there is going to be these different ways for holders to get airdrops, for the price to see, sustained volume, and for many of these different things to continue to happen. Okay. They have a very, very good marketing team. Obviously, the design on their website's always been absolutely amazing, and they have a big future in my opinion because of the different areas in which they're dabbling in. They're doing a fantastic job at establishing fundamentals, growing their customer base, and then reflecting that back into their project itself or their own company. And so with that said, of course, that's just a quick reminder and a quick briefing of what exactly they do. Now, they have added a few things since we did talk about them last, and most notably the ability to stake them with another crypto we've talked about on the channel, of course, being Brew Lab. So what you can see right now, you can actually go ahead and stake Kodi for BNB reflections with a 90-day lock here and no lock on this one for APR of up to 27 and 29%. So there is the staking ability for those of you who have been interested in that. I know many of you in my Patreon, you guys have been big on that, so have I. And so the fact that they've added this is only beneficial in my opinion. I think it even provides even further incentivization for people to hold, which I think has allowed their price to grow pretty healthily as the market has been recovering as well. Now, another thing in which we can see and which will be coming extremely soon is going to be the CookieCell launchpad. Now, you guys know that I am very, very big on use case, and I think this is going to provide a massive use case for them. Okay. The reason that I think that it's going to be so massive is because it will again provide the same type of buyback and distribution out to holders, similarly to Pitch. So what we know is that with Pitch, for example, of course, that was going to be their marketing agency. What we know is that as they receive revenue from Pitch and as they do grow Pitch and they work with more projects, 33% of that revenue is going to be put back into the marketing wallet in order for them to be able to continue to grow. And 66% of the revenue is going to be bought. They're going to take that revenue, buy Kodi, and then airdrop that Kodi out to holders. So it's like a buyback and a reflection mechanism while they're also self-sustaining and self-growing while they do grow, right? So it's like the more companies they work with, the bigger they get, the bigger they can get because they have more marketing ability, because they have more funds, and the holders are seeing growth in their own wallets, which incentivizes holding while they're staking and doing all of these things. It's very self-sufficient, okay? And so the fact that they have taken this route again in a very similar way to pitch with CookieCell, I think it's going to provide them with an even stronger use case going forward, as more projects will go to them to say, hey, maybe we launch with CookieCell, and then we go from CookieCell, we use our marketing agency to design our logo, to design our websites, do all these things, and then who knows, maybe, Kodi does start to develop other things in which they can help these projects with in a very self-sustaining ecosystem. So with CookieCell, there's a few measures and there's a few aspects about it that will be very beneficial, I think, and will bring a lot of attention and have a lot of appeal to projects. So the biggest one, in my opinion, is the fact that CookieCell will not take your total supply. They would simply charge a flat fee to list, so you launch the right way. And what this means is that, typically speaking, some of these other launch pads, we're not going to talk about exact names, but what they will do is they will take a percentage of the total supply of a crypto project that they're launching. Now, realistically, they may say they don't. We know they do. What happens is that when they take that total supply, as soon as the crypto project launches, as soon as their price starts to go up, we know a lot of those launch pads do sell some of those tokens. They dump those tokens, which can, be relatively harmful to the project and, the more sustainability in terms of long-term growth, right? And so the fact that they're not taking any of the percent, they're like, hey, we're not going to take any of that. We're going to charge a flat fee. We're going to take that flat fee, distribute it out to our holders, distribute it out to, some of the people that make this thing grow. And then we're going to take some of that money and put it into our own marketing efforts to get even more people to launch on our platform. And I think the method and the way in which they're going about it is going to be much more appealing to many crypto projects than giving up 10 to 15% of their total supply just to have it dumped as soon as the project launches. And one thing they did announce as well is that this is going to be a cross-chain launchpad, which also just gives them a little bit of that competitive advantage too, because it's like that is just a tad different from what we've seen from other ones in the way in which they're implementing these projects and the amount of projects in which they can bring on to then further grow the launchpad and the name brand of CookieCell itself. So it all just makes sense and it all works just so well together. And so of course there are aspects of CookieCell that will be beneficial as well, but I think that that is the most appealing in my opinion, that will give them a competitive edge on a lot of people. Now, some of the other things, of course, they have anti-bot measures, which is always important. Scammers will hate CookieCell because they will have many measures in place to force them to show the legitimacy of projects in terms of if they've been audited, in terms of if they're doxxed. I have actually seen a little bit behind the scenes of this, and it is extremely cool to see the ways in which they're making subtle changes to your typical launch pads to actually make it much more convenient. They have custom contracts to choose from, or you can bring your own if you are launching, so they can actually provide you with some of those custom contracts, dependent, of course, on what you're trying to do. You can lock your liquidity with CookieCell. You can update your token branding. Maybe you can work with Pitch, of course. You can get your project seen with our growing community and get the launch you deserve. And then you can create your custom airdrop with our easy-to-use dashboard. So overall, they do have many things going in there. And of course, as these things do become even more appealing, and as more projects do go to launch with CookieCell, made by Kodi, of course, that then is going to have 30% of the revenue generated from that, buying back Kodi and airdropping that out to holders. So as it grows, the holders will see that mutual benefit. And I think just the way in which they are going about it and taking it step by step, slowly, I think they are learning a lot of lessons the right way, not the hard way, but the right way. And they are implementing these different changes within the actual project in order to see sustainable growth, right? Because realistically, many crypto projects that have been here for 9-10 months, most of them aren't around. And most of them really aren't seeing growth in the project whenever we actually see the markets turning around. And so I think this increase in added use case and the overall convenience and utility of holding Kodi and maybe staking it, or just holding it and receiving airdrops as they continue to do amazing with Pitch and as they start to see this CookieCell thing grow. I really do believe that they are going to see a lot of growth into the future as volume does pick up, as long as they do continue to meet the things and meet the criteria in which they are setting for themselves. So overall, I think going forward that if they do continue, like we said, to meet the criteria in which they set for themselves, I do envision that growth. And one thing that is going to come from that growth eventually is the removal of their tokenomics. You guys know I'm not a super big fan of tokenomics. It's not something that I'm a big fan of, just because I think that longevity is not within tokenomics. And I actually did talk to the team. I jumped on a call with them, and they obviously were all fully doxxed. Their cameras were on, which was awesome. But what they said was that as this thing does become much more self-sustainable, as volume increases for their different products and agencies, we will see some of these tokenomics be removed and cut down over time. So of course, when that will be, they're not 100% sure. It kind of just depends on how this goes. But but I think they do have high hopes that it can be sometimes this year, and I think that will open up just another door for them to continue forward, to be able to see growth and to be able to see a lot more mass adoption. So considering the fact that this thing is still under $10 million in market cap, for everything they have going on and the amount of time in which they have been working on this and putting effort into it, I do envision that hard work will pay off. Of course, you can never really know with cryptos this new, but I think they do have a fair shot that if market conditions do allow, they can see some pretty strong growth from here, and I hope to be able to cover them even more on the channel if you guys are interested. So with that being said, that's going to be my update. That's my little my take on Kodi, where I am with it. I know it's been a couple months since we talked about them, but I'm just growingly getting more bullish about them over time. When the team reached out to me and told me about all of the different things that they had coming up, I could not help but bring them to the channel, and I hope you guys did enjoy. So with that being said, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, you can always let me know easily and simply by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new, and I will see you all next time. Peace.